Ding dong YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Jobless Coder. And does it look like I'm joking? Does it look like I'm fucking joking? I now have a website for the Canada Disney Party. Walt Disney's vision. When Walt Disney was originally envisioning the layout of Walt Disney World, his vision centralized around modern transportation, the gondola ride, the people mover, all forms of transporting people. Walt's original version for the park was a modern hub of commerce centrally connected with his transportation routes. The Canada Disney Party pledges to fulfill on Walt's original version of Disney by constructing Epcot, Alberta. The entire province of Alberta will be Epcot. Hashtag Canada Disneyland. Canadians, who wants to join Canada's newest political party? The Canada Disney Party. This party is something that I've been working on for over 6 months now, trying to put together a structured set of policies, proposals, and items in the budget, as well as the funding and cost infrastructure to support that, to show and demonstrate to Canadians what a budget could look like if we had adequate representation with taxation. Taxation without representation is theft, and right now the majority of Canadians feel that their taxes are not being spent on things that they need. They're being spent and wasted on other stuff. So, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the remaining 25 policies of the Disney Party to bring it up to 100. This is 3 videos in total now. This will be the first 100 policy positions for the Canada Disney Party, and I have plenty more ideas too that I'm working on still. So, I will read them out loud, starting with Policy 75, where we left off in the last video. Policy 75. The Disney Party of Canada will spend $20 billion of our defense budget, allocating $10 billion each worth of infrastructure to the ports in Halifax and Vancouver. The Disney Party of Canada will negotiate in trade terms with America for our very first battleship, and we will invest an additional $20 billion of that into submarines. Canada doesn't have anything like that, really, with our military, currently. We need a Navy force. But here's the catch, because this is the balanced budget that gets you everything that you want and need, but you are required to give something first. The whole world wants to know what Lockheed acquired from Bob Bigelow. They don't have to tell anyone shit. It's their private property. LOL, okay. The Canada Disney Party will cancel any ongoing and future projects with Lockheed for their fighter jets, and we will shut down our factories that supply the parts, and if that's too much to ask anything at all about aliens, lest we learn shit, the UFO Museum in St. Paul, serving as the MUFON headquarters north, won't be erecting a display honoring the legacy of a, God forbid, American businessman, legendary radio host Art Bell. American truckers who supported us during COVID lockdown torture and our trucker protests will have incentive to come and visit the Art Bell exhibit at the MUFON headquarters north and contribute to our economy. That is Policy 75. Policy 76. Jordan B. Peterson will receive $50 million in federal budget to build a physical location in Alberta for the currently online-only Peterson Academy, an educational institution based on his program design. This Canadian man now lives in America, and it's no wonder why. In Canada, they stripped him of his medical licenses, attacked his philosophy and ideology, they nearly killed him with bad medical advice. Had Jordan Peterson not gone to Russia, he would have been dead by now, thanks to our wonderful free healthcare system that everyone props up on a pedestal. They made his business nearly impossible to profit from, thanks to our godforsaken tax codes up here. So Jordan B. Peterson will be expected to return to Canada to help Elon Musk on his new mega hospital project, with heavy focus on mental illness. Policy 77. Timothy Poole will receive $100 million of the federal budget to build and construct the world's largest skate park on the abandoned runways of the Penhold Airport. Now currently government-owned land that sits and does nothing, it's being unutilized. I used to do my summer air cadet training at the Penhold Summer Training Center located here. Tim will also use the money to build a nationwide chain of coffee shops at Timcast. Tim has been trying for years to open coffee shops in his own country, in America, but it has been met with red tape and legal obstacles all along the way. The Canadian government will offer Tim an opportunity to open his coffee shops on this side of the border. So, that's what I'm asking. If you're watching this video, take these people, these individuals that are mentioned, such as Jordan Peterson and Tim Pool, and tweet it at them. Let them know that this is an official party and we are running on a policy platform that puts our federal tax dollars into investment in American companies, such as Timcast. Tim will get his nationwide coffee chain. He will also get the world's largest skate park. Policy 78. Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire will receive 100 million United States dollars of funding from the Canadian federal budget to construct film studios in the town of Fort Macleod. Movies such as Interstellar, Brokeback Mountain, and The Ghostbusters have all been filmed in the local area. These American-made films, using our land, #Indigenous, for their movies, and Canadians don't get much out of the deal. If American studios want to use our natural beauty for their film shoots, then Canadians need to be receiving more value benefit from the current agreement. The town of Didsbury, Alberta received a pitch 15 years ago that by allowing filming to take place in the town, it would quote-unquote put the town on the map and boost our local economy. I've seen very little evidence for growth, except for a few small additions to the town for American fast food joints. We've had like 6 movies and TV shows filmed here, and everyone in town is broke. And it did not put our town, Didsbury, Alberta, on the map, because absolutely nobody knows where this place is. It's in the middle of nowhere, and it has a population of 5,000 people or less, and probably half of that are seniors in nursing homes. So we've had 6 movies filmed here. We've had Fargo, we've had Wynonna Earp, we've had Under the Banner of Heaven, they filmed The Order here, and I think a couple other sci-fi shows as well. If we're going to continue to allow our land and our buildings and our infrastructure to be used as fictional American towns, because they put the American flags on our Canadian buildings when they do this, we need to receive more value benefit from the current agreement. Policy 79. The town of Drumheller, Alberta will receive 20 million United States dollars in funding and will be expected to construct a Disney-branded dinosaur-themed water park somewhere in the town. Policy 80. The town of Drumheller, Alberta will receive an additional 25 million United States dollars of the Canadian federal budget to build supporting infrastructure, a ferry transit across the river that connects the world's largest dinosaur to the museum, the Royal Tyrrell Museum, the water park, and the underground terminal station for the Epcot #Alberta project. So that'll be a ferry system attached to that as well. The town will also be receiving the $50 million for their underground terminal station. Policy 81. The Royal Tyrrell Museum will receive 40 million United States dollars of funding from the federal budget and will use that money to improve their current infrastructure and exhibits. Policy 82. Callaway Park, which I had covered in a previous video. I showed you that's the location for the drill site for the first terminal station that we will be expecting the Boring Company and Elon Musk to construct for us. Policy 82. Callaway Park, which is west of Calgary, will receive 20 million United States dollars to bolster their current infrastructure. This Calgary-based amusement park does not have in itself enough incentive structure to bring American money up here, but will with close proximity to the ski hills and the southern Alberta new Disney attractions, Callaway Park will likely see a significant boost in their admissions once the Disney parks are open. They will use this additional 20 million United States dollars to support and or expand upon their current infrastructure. That'll probably get them maybe 2 to 5 new rides, as well as supporting whatever infrastructure they currently have. Policy 83. West Edmonton Mall, sometimes known as WEM, will receive 10 million United States dollars of the federal budget to bolster their current infrastructure. This massive mega mall is the second largest mall in North America. It houses within its interior a space-themed amusement park called Galaxyland. It also has a massive indoor water park that hosts New Year's Eve celebrations with fireworks indoors. I'll even link the video here. You can see. This was taken at the party that I went to years ago for New Year's Eve. So, that's West Edmonton Mall. Policy 84. The Telespark Science Center will receive 15 million United States dollars of federal funding to bolster their current infrastructure or develop an expansion. And here's another video that I took from inside the TELUS Science Center years ago, just showing one of the things that they had on display. So with this also being in close proximity to the other Disney attractions, I think they'll receive more admissions. They'll receive more profit from this business as well. Policy 85. The Calgary Zoo will receive 30 million United States dollars of federal funding to bolster their current infrastructure. Much like the San Diego Zoo benefits from close proximity to a Disneyland park, a Disney-themed Epcot Alberta project will provide more tourism dollars into the nearby zoo as well. And the zoo is currently hosting their Christmas lights. So, Calgary Zoo Christmas lights. So I'm going to show you this. It's a yearly tradition. They have a massive display of Christmas lights around November-December timeframe that you can go and tour the zoo. There's also an attraction nearby known as the Airdrie Festival of Lights. And the Airdrie Festival of Lights is going to be a significant prototype for what we're expecting to build for the Elsa's Frozen Ice Palace, because we're going to be taking inspiration from this Canadian themed light park that exists in Airdrie. So you can visit both the Airdrie Festival of Lights around the holiday time and take a walk through the park. And I might even go out there and take some video as well to showcase Elon Musk. So the Airdrie Festival of Lights is going to provide a huge inspiration for how I see and envision this Christmas village up in Lake Louise, where Elsa's Frozen Ice Palace will be built. Here's some more pictures of the Airdrie Festival of Lights. As well, the Calgary Zoo does something very similar with their lights. So, back to the policy. The Calgary Zoo gets $30 million, and they're going to decide how they utilize those funds. Policy 86. The Disney Party will invest an additional 10 million United States dollars into the Calgary Stampede 2026 year. This money will help the organizers for the Calgary Stampede host their largest event yet next summer in 2026. The greatest outdoor rodeo on earth isn't great enough to bring Americans up to our country. A survey of American citizens was conducted for our research, and 0% of people responded in the affirmative to have ever vacationed here once in their life. 0% said yes. Policy 87. The town of Sylvan Lake, Alberta will receive 25 million United States dollars of federal funding to construct a Disney-branded water park. The town used to have a productive business, a water park here, that was built years ago, but it closed down years ago. Policy 88. The town of Canmore will receive 25 million United States dollars in funding to construct a Little Mermaid-themed Disney-branded indoor water park somewhere in the town. They're up in the mountains, so they get quite a big significance in the snow. And if the water parks have to all be built inside of a building, we'll do that too, just because of the snow. Policy 89. The city of Kelowna, BC will receive 50 million United States dollars in funding. They will survey the land with Elon Musk and find a location to dig. They will construct one underground terminal station for the Hyperloop, which connects to Abbotsford and Fernie. Policy 90. The city of Abbotsford, BC will receive 50 million United States dollars of funding from the budget, and they will be expected to construct one underground Hyperloop terminal station for the Elon Musk underground tunnel network. Policy 91. The city of Kelowna, BC will receive 30 million United States dollars in federal funding to reconstruct the Wet and Wild water slide park that used to exist on the west bank of Kelowna attached to the campground, if anyone remembers that. The all-new Finding Nemo-themed Disney-branded water park will rely on the original design for this water park where the slides were constructed into the natural curvature of the earth. What does that mean? It saves a whole lot of money because you don't have to build scaffolding. We're going to use the natural curvature of the mountain to build a bigger water park with less money because you don't have to build scaffolding for the slides. They're dug into the dirt of the earth. This new Finding Nemo themed water park will be called West Side Water Slides. And let me see if I can find a picture. This one here. This is the park I'm referring to. And there was another picture I showed in a previous video. Here we go. Here we go. This right here. This water tap. This water tap is constructed on top of a pole that holds it up. But because the water is falling down and it's white because it's moving and the pole is white, it has the illusion to children that this is floating in air by magic. And it really is a magical sight to see as a child because I remember vivid memories of this particular thing. So we'll reconstruct the water park like that. And notice this, how the slide goes underneath the earth right here and it's built into the hillside. You can build a much bigger water slide park using this technique because the only scaffolding you have to build is very limited, like a little bit of scaffolding that they got here, and that's pretty much it. See these slides here? They're built right into the earth. You just dig a trench in the earth and put the slide there, and because it's built into the earth, it has a much nicer, smoother flow when you go down the pipe. It doesn't hurt your back as much because you're not going over riveted joints. It's not as painful. It was actually a very nice and comfortable ride going down these slides. Some other water parks, you get rashes on your back every time you go over that rivet joint at the bulkhead. So, back to the policies. Policy 92. The Abbotsford Air Show will receive 20 million United States dollars of federal funding to bolster the 2026 Abbotsford Air Show next summer. And then a link to their website. They currently have the largest air show in the country held in Abbotsford. But I don't think it's as big as I'm forgetting the name of the big American one. I think it starts with an O. Okasha or something like that. Yeah, we're going to need to bolster the Abbotsford Air Show for next summer. So there's 20 million US dollars for that. Policy 93, the Alberta Air Show held in Springbank will receive 10 million United States dollars in federal funding to bolster their air show next summer in 2026. Policy 94, the town of Vulcan, Alberta will receive 50 million United States dollars from the federal budget to construct an all-new EMP center near the Starship Enterprise. So, what do I mean by the EMP center? Something similar to the EMP center in Seattle, which is a museum of pop culture. So why would we want to build a museum of pop culture in Alberta? Because the town of Vulcan, Alberta already has a tourist attraction, the Starship Enterprise from sci-fi. It's I'm completely blanking right now on the name of the TV show. Star Trek. I don't know why I just forgot Star Trek. Yes, Star Trek. So, the town of Vulcan already has the Starship Enterprise from the TV series Star Trek, so it would make sense to invest a $50 million project into the town for them to construct an EMP center near it. And it will be similar to the EMP center that you have in Seattle. Here's a view of it taken down from the Seattle Tower. It's quite an interesting exhibit. The building itself is a piece of art, and the entire building is filled with all kinds of interesting pieces of art. So we're going to build a pop culture thing. Look at that. Look at the monorail, too. Like, this is the future. We can build stuff like this up in Alberta. We can make it look like the future. So we will build an EMP center similar to the design or the structure of the one in Seattle, and we'll put it in the town of Vulcan. And where does that look on the map? If I go back to the map here, the town of Vulcan is located right here. Right here. So we'll have to have extended bus lines from these terminals that go all the way down to Lethbridge and all the way up to Calgary. And look how it sits in proximity to the Lancaster Museum, because that's another item coming up later in the budget. So we'll put a $50 million building right here on the side of the road. And right here, I believe, is where the Starship Enterprise sits. So, Policy 95. The Disney Party of Canada will invest 110 million United States dollars into the construction of an all-new game studio and innovation hub in Lethbridge. My game studio, TechSkull, has enough work to employ people for 30 years. Do people understand how many prototypes of games I have on the go? I can employ people for 30 years making video games. The new game studio will be large, with similar stature to the EA studios in Vancouver. And I'll just Google that really quick to show you what I'm talking about. Something of this size. I'm not looking for a little office space or a dinky office. I'm looking for a game studio where it's like a mega city like this. This is currently built in BC, in Burnaby. So, $110 million for the project, but it will be the first Canadian-born major game studio. Now, do I know every last game studio in the country? No, but I don't know of any Canadian-born game studios because EA is not a Canadian company. EA Games is an American company based out of Redwood, California. The other big name in gaming that we have on the east side in Montreal is Ubisoft. Ubisoft is not a Canadian company either. They're based out of Paris in France. So, I will build the first Canadian-born major game studio that I am aware of. As EA is American-owned and Ubisoft is headquartered in France. My game studio will provide employment for the software developers in Alberta currently out of work. And then I've got my logo there. Because what happened in February, earlier this year, is that BioWare went through some significant restructuring. I've been told conflicting stories. I've been told they're shut down. I've been told they're not shut down. But there was significant layoffs. And a significant number of the people that were laid off are now either moving out of the province of Alberta because there's no economic opportunity here for coders, especially coders who make video games, or they're switching industries altogether. And that's not what I want to do, because if anyone has paid attention to anything that I've said over the past 6 years on the channel, I want to work in code and software and technology. And I am not budging on that position just because my government refuses to invest in it. I will do the pitch myself, and I will bring the American investment up here myself if I have to. So, if I go back to the map and go down to Lethbridge, right here, on the north end is a whole bunch of empty space for construction, and they're currently constructing northward of the city. They're currently building out this area. So it would make sense with this blue pixel that I've put here, and this is to size and scale. I took the square footage of the building in Vancouver, and then I took the scale at the bottom. This is why the map is made to scale, because there's a scale all the way down here, and I found the equivalent square kilometers that it would cause a footprint in the city. And to build something the size of the EA studios in Lethbridge would require this much footprint of the city. You can see it's quite substantial. And the campus for the location for EA Games in Burnaby is a substantial section of their city too. This blue square is massive. It's huge. But why would we do that? Why would I expect investor money to be going into my game studio? Because I can afterwards, once it's built, employ people for 30 years. So that's my value benefit that I offer there. Policy 96. The Disney Party of Canada will invest 85 million United States dollars into the Nanton Air Museum, home of one of the last remaining Lancaster aircrafts in existence. I think there's 5 left on planet Earth, and one of them sits here. This 85 million United States dollar investment celebrates the 85th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Air Cadets next year. With this 85 million United States dollars, the museum can construct a second building to the west where the baseball diamond sits in town, and an all-new aviation museum dedicated to Canada's rich aviation and military history. So, remember when I said that this map that I made is like a piece of software? Because I can come down here and I can go to the Nanton Air Museum. I'm going to turn that layer on so you can see what I'm referring to. This picture here is an aerial view that I took of Google Maps, and I can toggle it on and off when I need. So, here's where the Aviation Museum sits, right here. To the west, to the northwest, there's 1, 2, 3 baseball diamonds. If we were to sacrifice, God forbid, one baseball diamond, because people might complain and get upset over that if we sacrifice this baseball diamond, if we were to, look at that. The size of the building, you could double it. It's a little bit more than double. It's probably 1.5 or 2 times put the building here. You could connect it to the original Bomber Command Museum here and bring in a whole bunch more aircraft. You would expand the size of this to the cost of $85 million. You can also build out here. It looks like there's another baseball diamond down here. So there's 4 baseball diamonds, and if we can't get the community of Nanton to agree to sacrifice one, because like I said, someone somewhere might get upset that they're losing a baseball diamond, but we're going to get an $85 million building here to expand upon the museum. And we're going to have new bus lines coming down here too. That's what the green lines are. The green and the blue lines are the bus lines. So we'll have a bus line transiting between Nanton and the EMP Center. And we could potentially, if we want, put a terminal station here too. But because there'll be a terminal station up here in Blackie, we might have to just leave it with that, depending on how difficult the construction of the Hyperloop system is. So the black lines represent the Hyperloop system, and the purple lines represent alternative pathways for the Hyperloop system, optional lines we can build out in the future. The green lines for the bus lines require the absolute bus lines that have to be put in, as well as the new terminal stations. We'll have to build a bus line and a terminal station here in Nanton, and that will come from the $300 million of investment into infrastructure for the Calgary area. And the blue lines represent optional secondary bus routes that we could have and offer. So that's why we'll put the game studio here in Lethbridge, because it makes sense. Why would it make sense to put the game studio in Lethbridge? Because if we're using southern Albertan farmland to construct data centers, which can be built underground, why would we construct them in the south of Alberta? Because of distance. Kevin O'Leary said to construct them up north and plug them into the energy grid up there. But he's not thinking about distance. We'll build data servers out here, and look at that. Look at the close proximity that the game studio would have to the data servers. That's why we'll build the game studio here in Lethbridge and not in Calgary or Edmonton. It makes sense to do because of distance. So, back to the policies. Policy 97. The Disney Party of Canada will advocate the Disney Corporation invest $250 million United States dollars into building 2 downtown Disney shopping experiences. The first will be located in Red Deer's Gasoline Alley with close proximity to the skate park. The second downtown Disney shopping mall will be built inside of the New Horizons Mall in Balzac, Alberta. This shopping mall has sat mostly empty since its construction and still has less than 50% of the space utilized. Disney could convert half of the shopping mall into their own play space, complete with mini golf course or even another water park. And what I did yesterday is I took a trip down to Balzac to showcase the mall. This was actually my very first time experiencing the New Horizons Mall. I'd never been there before, so I'll link that video in the description. You can go and watch. It's a 15-minute tour around the mall, and I noticed a couple interesting things. Number one, doesn't seem to be any separation of floors like you would have in a typical mall where you have a floor and an escalator that goes up to the second floor. It seems like it's divided modularly, where all of the different stores have their own modular layout, but because it's modular and the ceiling is at least 3 floors high, you could take out a section of the modular area, and now you have 3 floors worth of height to build upon. You could build a giant, if you wanted, replica of the Eiffel Tower inside there, just like they have on Las Vegas Strip, or a giant replica of maybe like they have at New York, New York. They'll have a giant replica of the Statue of Liberty. Whatever you want to do, you can build that as part of your downtown Disney shopping experience. Bring in stores like the M&M store that we don't have. Bring in stores like the Lego store that we don't have. Bring in the official Disney store. Convert and turn this New Horizons Mall into the downtown shopping experience. Now, during my experience, I also noticed that the mall is pretty much still empty. There's at least 30, maybe 40% of the businesses that are not fulfilled. And of the businesses that are there, they're empty. This is a massive children's play area that I toured in the mall yesterday. And you observed in the video, there was nobody playing. I don't know how that business is remaining operational. And the videos that people are putting on are like, is this mall dead or alive? This is from 2023. Here's a mall update from 2024. When I went in there yesterday, as of November 27th, 2025, there was one store that was open in the food court. One food court restaurant. And the others were either empty completely or they looked like new places just moving in. So Disney could buy and convert this entire shopping mall, and they could do it within that $250 million budget, because the entire cost to construct this mall was approximately 200 million Canadian dollars. That works out to about 150 American dollars. So they could spend 150 American dollars, acquire the entire shopping mall and take over. And then they could build their downtown Disney inside of the shopping mall. And then they can invest another $100 million in building a shopping mall up here in Red Deer in Gasoline Alley. Why would we build a shopping mall in Red Deer with close proximity to Gasoline Alley? Because look how close this shopping center here in Gasoline Alley could be to if we built an underground terminal station here. Look with its proximity to Tim Pool's world's largest skate park. Right here, this blue section, this is the abandoned airport that I'm talking about. This is where the world's largest skate park would sit. This is where Gasoline Alley sits. What is Gasoline Alley? Let's look it up. Gasoline Alley, Red Deer. It's a strip. It's a strip of land as you're entering Red Deer that has all sorts of different shops and gas stations along the way. And there's a Cineplex that sits here on this plot of land. So let me go to the visual map here. So this area here is what's referred to as Gasoline Alley. And you'll notice there's a Galaxy Cinema here. This is a Cineplex. There's a Costco here. There's a Peter's Drive-In. And so somewhere within here, you could put another $100 million building invested into building a smaller scale downtown Disney. That way there would be 2 downtown Disneys within the province of Alberta connected with this Epcot system. The first downtown Disney, the big one, would be built in New Horizons. The second downtown Disney in Gasoline Alley would be built in Red Deer. And when you look at the map, the benefit of that is that this line here connects right straight down to the one at the airport. Now, I said the airport, but potentially the airport maybe doesn't make sense to build underground there. Because if you look on the map here, this 566 stretch of road here, this is the stretch of road that I sat for 40 minutes on trying to get up this overpass over here and into the mall. Because this road here that comes down and then over a little adjacent and back down, this section right here is where Cross Iron Mall sits. This right here is where New Horizons sits. So look how close in proximity the New Horizons Mall is sitting here to where I want to put the underground terminal station for the airport. Potentially, if this is a big enough underground terminal station, like a little underground city, we can actually connect the airport underground to the shopping mall. And you would be able to walk from the airport through an underground tunnel system. You could even walk over here, because it would be, well, maybe not. It's like a 3 or 4 kilometer drive. So maybe you'll drive instead. You'll drive 3 or 4 kilometers underground and you'll exit here where the shopping mall is. From there, you can take the transit at 600 kilometers an hour through the underground terminals, through the underground tunnels, up to here. So there'll be a direct connection between both shopping districts. Why would that be beneficial? Because if you're bringing in supplies and the supplies lands here in the airport, all you have to do is transport it up to New Horizons, drop it on the supply chain line for the mail delivery, and your supplies will end up in Red Deer in a matter of minutes. You don't have to drive all the way up here. That's like a 200-kilometer drive from there to there. So imagine you drop your supplies at the airport here. You can get supplies that services the entire Gasoline Alley district in Red Deer up there without having to drive this 200-kilometer stretch of highway in a big semi-truck. So that's another reason why you would connect both downtown shopping districts together through the underground terminal station. So back to the policies. Policy 98. The Disney Party of Canada will advocate Disney invest 50 million United States dollars into the construction of a Disney-themed campground nationwide. So we'll build not one, but many nationwide campgrounds. If you invested $10 million per project, that would give you 5 nationwide Disney campgrounds. If you invested $5 million per campground, that would get you 10 nationwide Disney campgrounds. They will include a 100-acre campground in Sylvan Lake with an approximate cost of $10 million, with close proximity to the skate park and downtown Disney. If I go back to the map, remember where I said where the skate park would be located? If Tim Pool was to build his world's largest skate park right here in Penhold, look how close that is to Sylvan Lake. Sylvan Lake sits here, and the skate park sits here. It's like a 20-minute, maybe half an hour at most drive that you could come down here to the skate park, or a matter of minutes if you had another underground terminal station, this purple line, optional, connected to the campground. You'll be able to take a terminal from the shopping center here in Gasoline Alley, underneath the airport, underneath the skate park, and you'll arrive at the campground here in Sylvan Lake. And you can take a bus up to here to get to the lake. And maybe somewhere on the lake is where they would construct that Disney-themed water park, where it used to be. There's a couple businesses along here, such as the Big Moo. It's an ice cream store that was selected for Trump's tour. So we go to Big Moo, Sylvan Lake. There's also the More Moo. The Big Moo Ice Cream Parlor, Sylvan Lake. See, they have this giant Canadian cow. It's painted with the Canadian colors on it, sitting out front. You get a picture of Elon Musk wearing a cowboy hat sitting on that. Imagine that, bringing Elon Musk to the Big Moo. You get a picture sitting on the Canadian cow wearing a cowboy hat. So, if that's something that Elon Musk wants to see, come up here. Come visit Texas of the North. I'll give you the personal tour myself. So, they will construct a 100-acre campground in the town of Sylvan Lake with close proximity to the skate park and downtown Disney, plus the water attraction. And they will build the current existing camp space. They will add an additional campground for $10 million built in the currently existing campground for Callaway Park. That was in a previous video that I also toured Callaway Park. Where is Callaway Park located? Back to the map. Go over here. Down here. So this black space is where the campground sits for Callaway Park. And the dig site here could be somewhere over here, or it could be underneath the parking lot itself. The campground could also be expanded over this direction into the field, and we'll expand the campground over the highway onto this side of the land and use another $10 million to build this out into a big-sized Disney-themed campground. Because the campground that sits here is very small. And if you're going to be building Disney-themed stuff in the area, you need to expand across the road onto the other side. We can also offer a bus line here for the Springbank Airport. And I've included a potential additional $20 million project in bolstering the Callaway Park infrastructure as well. We can offer the Springbank Airport. This chunk of blue land up here, blue-gray land, that's where the airport sits. So, potentially, if it doesn't make sense to build the airport here in Old Stidsbury, potentially it's not possible, we'll put that $100 million down here into the Springbank Airport, and then there'll be a second international airport within close proximity to the Calgary International Airport. That will alleviate the traffic from YYC and also offer airlines new travel destinations to fly to. Fly to Springbank instead of Calgary International. And from Springbank, you have easy access to Callaway Park, the campground, and a nearby golf course as well. I don't know how much money the golf course is losing, but all Canadian businesses are going to be losing money as more and more of them continue to pull out and move to America. The rest of everyone that's left is going to have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard to keep their business operational the same year after year that they previously did. So, the campground. They will build a campground and expand the space that currently exists for Callaway Park. It will be converted into a Disney-themed campground with close proximity to Banff National Park and Elsa's Frozen Ice Palace in Lake Louise. Policy 99. The Disney Party will invest $15 million United States dollars into the Penhold Airport, which currently has the location of the Harvard Aviation Museum, to construct an expansion that includes a realistic World War II era assembly line where guests can watch the historic process of how the Harvard II airplanes were constructed. So, back to the map. We'll go back up here to Penhold. If this is the location where Tim Pool constructs his world's largest skate park, and just so you know, for reference, this blue pixel is at scale. Because I looked up the largest skate park currently, it's in China. I took a improvement on that, and then I said, okay, how many square kilometers of land do we have to sacrifice to get that? If you sacrifice that much pixel of blue worth of land, you could build the world's largest skate park, and it would be the world's largest skate park. And look how big the airport is. People might have a fit over the idea of converting or building anything on this abandoned airport. And it may not be abandoned. There might still be small bush planes and stuff that fly in and out of here. But if we can sacrifice this much land worth of the pavement, Tim Pool could build the world's largest skate park here. Right there. So we're going to invest because there is a one blue pixel, maybe even smaller. We'll go up here. There. That blue pixel represents the current size of the Harvard Museum, because I'll come over, I'll show you. Harvard Museum Penhold. Penhold, Alberta. They used to build the Harvard Mark II. This is the Harvard Mark II. It's my favorite aircraft model of all time. It's like the vintage vehicle of aircraft. And the hangar where these were constructed, the hangars sit right here in the town of Penhold. And this is where the air cadets would do their summer training. So within the interior of the hangar that I think still sits there, it's just government land that sits being unproductive. You could build a realistic assembly line that people could tour through the building and see the process of how these vintage planes were actually constructed. And you would build like a mock scenario where you would have different aircraft parts constructed on different sections of the assembly line. And that could be an expansion for the Harvard Aviation Museum. And for that project, I have allocated $15 million. So 15 million United States dollars into the Penhold Airport to expand. Finally, on the list, but not finally on my mind. I have many more ideas in my mind that I'm still working on fleshing out. But finally for today, Policy 100. The Disney Party of Canada is calling for a global ceasefire of war while we negotiate the trade deal with America. Russia will not be punished punitively with money for starting the war in Ukraine. That is how you got Hitler in World War II. Assassination is how you got World War I. Putin's punishment for starting the war in Ukraine is that Russia will be the last country on the planet to participate in our trade negotiations with Disney. And this is why I said previously in a previous video, Canada's not just doing this for ourselves. The Canadian Disney Party is not just doing it for Alberta either, but I'm looking for a solution to all the problems. So we have solutions on the table for immigration. We have solutions on the table for housing. You can have Canadian citizenship, but you can't live here because you'll be trained as a disaster worldwide relief aid. You'll be trained in lifeguard training and stuff like that if you come here as an immigrant. And or once the Disney parks are constructed, you could apply to work in one of the Disney parks. So there's a whole bunch of moving pieces, and I know some people feel that they're very skeptical on it. They're very, very skeptical. They say it's too radical. It's never going to happen. There's too many moving pieces. If the pieces don't get moving, if the boat doesn't get rocking, how do you get yourself out of debt? How do you get the country out of debt? Because the question that I continue to ask people, I continue to go back on is, how does a country that does not bring in outside revenue service the debt? The answer is they print more money. Because they print more money, it dilutes the value of all the money. And they're just going to continue to do that until the Canadian dollar is worth 50 cents of the US, and then 40 cents, and then 30 cents of the US. I don't know what the conversion rate is between Venezuelan dollar and the US dollar right now, but I don't think it's pretty good. And I don't think Canadians want to see our currency get there either. I haven't heard any other ideas. If there is another idea, drop it down below, because we're looking for ideas instead of insults and bantering and yelling and screaming at each other. The only idea on the table right now in the entire country that has any feasibility to it is this Disney idea, because it will take a lot of effort from a lot of people, but it will be worth it in the end if we do this together. So, if you want to join the Canadian Disney Party, go to the website, go to the Discord link, and I'll see you there. We'll chat about it.